Hey everyone, welcome to Deluxe Designs. Today I wanted to make a gown using this image I printed out years ago. I don't want to make the same dress, but something inspired by the look and layering of it. I decided I wanted to do a tulle skirt, but with dragon scales as the train instead of petals. I have this black shimmer fabric that I want to use for the scales. It's a perfect fabric because it's a heavy knit that doesn't fray very much, so I can cut out the shapes I need without having to hem all the scales. I might use this silver trim somewhere on it, but I'm not sure yet. I'm going to use this black cotton underneath the tulle so the main skirt isn't see-through. I also have this black pleated tulle that is new to my fabric store, and I want to use it for the main part of the skirt. Then I have this other shimmer textured fabric that I could use for the bodice. Let's get sewing. I found a dragon scale image online that I printed out and scaled down to what I wanted. I'm going to make a lot of these. I'm just using my marking pencil to trace the shape and cut them out. It's going to take a little while. When it comes down to these little pieces, either you think you have tons and it's nowhere near enough, or you do a ton and it's way too much and you wasted time. So I'm going to do a lot and hope it's enough. I love how these look with the textured shimmer on this fabric. It kind of looks like armor and scales rolled into one. To get the scale look, I played around with a few options. So I tried one where I stitched a line down the back side of the scale to get the angled look down the center. Then I had an idea of stitching down the front, and I loved how that looked so much better. The stitch down the back is giving more leaf than scale, which gives me other ideas for the future. Here goes my train of scales. How satisfying is this? Seriously, I hope I have enough. This is the cotton underskirt for behind the pleated tulle. I don't want the skirt super full. Just, the normal kind of full. I'm going to be layering the pleated tulle over top, so it will add to the bulk. I'm folding over the tulle so it is double the thickness as well, before I even gather it. But isn't this tulle awesome? It comes in other colors and I want to pick up more the next time I go to the fabric store. I just was being disciplined and I only grabbed the black last time. I'm gathering the top of the tulle by pulling on only one of the threads. I know I've shown this in lots of videos, but you never know when it might come in handy. I'm going to add it to the cotton part of the skirt, but I'm going to keep it down a little bit from the top of the cotton so it isn't super bulky right at the waist where I'm sewing the bodice and the skirt together. But I actually don't mind a bit of the bulk near the top because I want the scales on the front of the dress to stick out a little bit over the top. I've made a basic bodice and attached it to the cotton skirt. I'm going to hand stitch the tulle over the top now. Like I said before, I want to keep some of this fullness here so that the scales flare out at the front. I can always trim away a little of it if it ends up being too full. Since the tulle doesn't fray, I can just cut away any excess. Now I'm going to use some of the shimmer fabric for the train. This way, as the scales move, there is still a nice shimmer fabric underneath. I'm going to be layering these scales from the bottom to the top and then adding the train onto the back of the dress. I didn't even know how I was going to finish the sides, where there would only be half of a scale, if that makes sense. But seeing them folded gave me an idea to use those layered over the side, so it's actually going to wrap around. Here's the opening at the back where I'll make sure there's enough room to open the dress to get onto the doll. I will put the scales strategically on either side of the opening. Man, I love how this is looking so far. Here I have started layering the scales around the sides and the front of the gown. I might do some smaller scale ones as well. We'll see. I'm also trying to keep a bit of a V angle at the front where the scales meet, but then we'll also see where that goes. Now I have to play around with what layering I will do and how I want to finish the bodice. For the bodice, I've actually made 2 super small scales and angled them on each side. As I'm sewing this, I realized I can make all the seams on the scales meet where the bodice meets the skirt. I think it's gonna look super cool actually. I knew this dress needed one more thing to make it even more glam, and I struggled trying to think of an idea until I remembered I had these awesome angled rhinestones that sort of mimic the shape of the scales. I thought they would fit perfectly into the V of the bust that I created with the seams. Gotta bring the glam, but with an edge. Pardon my well-used glue gun. She's been through it, as you can see. And honestly, a lot of time I would use a different glue. But this fabric is so thick that crazy glue will actually just seep into it, and it's not going to give me a surface to adhere to. And I'm all out of E6000, which is a good glue to use. So a glue gun, it is for the time being. They are actually sticking very strongly to this fabric. So here's a little trick. If you're gluing something and you maybe touched the glue or made it more white than translucent, sometimes you can get heat near it and basically remelt the glue to make it more clear looking again. So I'm doing this over the jewels to get rid of any parts that I had a bit of glue peeking out. Just don't catch anything on fire. This is the lady that I've chosen to use to model this dress. Her darker tones work well with the darker theme of the dress, and she honestly has some of the better hair out of all my model dolls. I've also made a black tulle skirt to layer under the dress to keep the skirt nice and full. And here's the dress with this super shimmery train. I hope you guys will be able to see how shiny it is. When I take photos, it never seems to translate well, so hopefully the video is showing it better. Let's put it all together and see the finished gown.